In partnership with Lighthouse Psychiatry, the City of Chandler presents a self-care series to promote positive mental health in our community. This is It's Okay to Not Be Okay.
Hi, my name is Kendra Link. I'm a licensed associate counselor with Lighthouse Psychiatry. I'm a trauma specialist, but I help clients who are experiencing a variety of mental health concerns. I've learned that what works best for one client may not be the best choice for another. But one thing that I have found true for all of them, there's something that all of us need, and that's good coping skills. Coping skills are the activities or behaviors or things that we do on a daily basis, and that might be very intentional or it might be unconscious, that help us alleviate stress, manage change, and process emotion. The better our coping skills, the better our brain is able to heal from trauma, manage anxiety, or just help us maintain a positive sense of self. Our brain structure is highly flexible, capable of changing. While it's true that when we're younger, we do learn more easily, our brain is more adaptable, we're capable of learning at any age. And this is true whether maybe we're learning a new language, want to learn a musical instrument, and also if we want to get better at emotional resiliency. If we take a proactive approach to practicing coping skills, we can actually rewire our brain because it has an amazing ability to change, grow, and heal, depending on how we use it. By using good coping skills, we can reap benefits of feeling better in the moment. Maybe we feel bad, we can apply a coping skill and feel better in that moment, but what it also does is teaches our brain how to better handle stress or difficult situations in the future. So it's normal to feel sad, anxious, or worried at times. I think all of us can acknowledge that difficult emotions, some emotional pain, it's a normal part of a life on occasion. All of us have probably experienced loss, maybe been disappointed by people, experienced betrayal. And if there's one thing that the recent pandemic has taught us, we're really learning that frustration of there's so much we don't have control over. And that's been really hard for a lot of us. Anxiety disorders are a lot more than just the occasional or situational feeling of anxiety or nervousness or frustration. Common symptoms of more chronic anxiety are a feeling of constantly being hypervigilant or nervous, being irritable, having a hard time concentrating, a lot of insomnia with that, difficulty sleeping, and some physical symptoms like feeling like your heart is always racing or that you always have a lot of muscle tension. And again, a lot of people use the word depression as just meaning I'm sad. But clinical depression is a lot more than that. It's a really perpetual state of low mood. Also shares some symptoms with anxiety, that difficulty concentrating and a lot of sleep problems, insomnia or excessive sleeping, isolating from others, maybe low motivation or just not enjoying activities that you used to like. So kind of going back to the coping skills of what would be helpful for that. First of all, not all coping skills are equal or even helpful. And very broadly, I tend to lump coping skills into two different types. The first type being very active, the other being avoidant. Active coping strategies are the activities that require conscious effort, they're goal-directed, it's very consciously problem-solving or dealing with an emotion that's happening. So some of the active coping strategies that I coach for my clients is, first of all, very simply, it's just really good routine basic self-care. It seems very simple, but it's usually the first thing to go when we're under stress, and that's just eating regularly, getting good nutrition, getting some exercise every day, and getting a regular sleep cycle going, meaning adequate sleep, going to bed at about the same time every night and getting up at the same time every morning. This helps actually train our brain to regulate our sleep patterns, know what to expect. I think we think of those things as being very physical, but our mental health does not function well without them. Exercise is actually one of the best natural dopamine producers we have. Dopamine being one of the brain chemicals that helps us feel better. Other types of coping skills that research are showing is really helpful are things like journaling. Helps emotionally process what's happening to you. Meditation and mindfulness activities. I've had a client come in and tell me, oh, Kendra, I don't do relaxation. Needless to say that she was highly anxious and had used anxiety as problem solving without realizing it was actually really physically breaking her down. Meditation helps teach the brain to calm that anxiety. Anxiety is actually it's a survival function. Lions, tigers, and bears, we needed to be ready to run or fight. Anxiety is the prompt that tells us that maybe danger is there, and it's helped, what's what made us survive. It becomes chronic and dysfunctional when we're in this constant state of anxiety and nothing's happening, we're not in danger. Mindfulness or meditation, relaxation, or breathing exercises helps retrain our brain that we're not in danger and we can calm down and relax. Another coping strategy that I think a lot of people feel is pretty self-indulgent, that's just engaging in a hobby or an activity that you really enjoy, whether that's reading, playing music, maybe art, time with pets. It's really important to schedule that every day. And then the other really important thing that keeps us functioning on a daily basis is our social support network. Scheduling time every week to spend with friends, family. Sometimes we're not always given families that are super supportive or there for us, and that's where we might need a professional. We might need a therapist to be that person for us. So going back to the two types of coping strategies, those are very active. They take practice. They take conscious awareness. Avoidant coping strategies are those where we're simply escaping the emotion. We're going numb. We're running away. We're avoiding the problem, the emotion. And the most notorious avoidant coping strategy is substance use. Drugs or alcohol flood our brain with feel-good chemicals, which kind of numbs us out from any negative emotion. We don't have to look at the problem. We don't use drugs and alcohol because we're not intelligent or we're morally broken. We do it because it works. It makes us feel better in the moment. It's that short-term fix. It helps us feel a lot better when we just feel like we don't have any other way to deal with our situation or what emotion is happening. And as you might be aware, those avoidant coping strategies, others are like overeating, maybe gambling, shopping, excessive gaming or TV watching. I know we all enjoy that to a point. There does come a point where it becomes a problem and you're just numbing out. You're not really doing anything to help your brain and body cope. So those strategies work, but in the short term. They give you a short-term fix or an escape from that emotion, but they tend to create long-term problems. And they don't actually rewire your brain or help your brain learn how to deal with those stressful situations in the future. So how it works as far as it training your brain, when you hear that, it rewires or trains your brain. So if I have a certain experience, or if I engage in a behavior, my brain responds by sending brain chemicals and impulses and creates a neural pathway in my brain. Creates a path of this is a behavior that we're going to do. And so if I repeat that experience or the behavior, it reinforces that response in my brain, almost like a path that gets beaten down more often the more time it's traveled. The more you practice and repeat that behavior, the more your brain goes to that behavior. The easier it becomes, and the more useful it is to us, the more automatic it becomes. So if we don't actively work to create new, healthier neural pathways, it's easy for our brain to return to old, maybe not so healthy ones. So if I want to get healthy and I want to get fit, someone tells me we need to go to the gym to do that. And I go to the gym, I get on the treadmill, I lift a few weights, I go home the next day, I'm like, I'm the same, that didn't work. Well, we all know that's something you need to do every day. that you need to practice with your muscles. You need to build those muscles, and it takes time for them to grow and change. Coping skills work the same way. We can't just do it once and be like, oh, okay, the meditation didn't work. I still don't feel good. It's something we have to practice to develop the muscles of calm and relaxation and emotional regulation in our brain. So if you make a plan for coping strategies and make them a daily priority, they're much more accessible and effective in future situations or when you don't feel well. So the most important thing is to find what works for you. I generally encourage clients to try out a few new coping skills that maybe they don't think will work or feel uncomfortable. Meditation is a big one that people tend to feel like I can't sit there and just not think or pay attention to what's happening in my body. So I encourage clients to try a few new things and really try it for a few weeks before you decide whether that's going to work for you or not. I started my career working with addiction and people in recovery from substance abuse. And like I mentioned before, that drug becomes their only coping mechanism. So when they go into recovery, that's a challenge. They've got no other coping skills. And one thing I'd often suggest to them is try one thing that's new, maybe meditation or journaling if you've never tried it, and maybe think back to something you did when you were 9 or 10. Something that just gave you joy, a hobby, whether it's a pet or maybe you enjoyed doing art, and try that for a few weeks. So the most important thing is if you're feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you don't have the tools to cope, or if you recognize that you're using some avoidance strategies and if they haven't yet, they will eventually cause problems, don't hesitate to get help. A therapist can help you develop this toolbox of coping skills so you can start not only managing with whatever is happening right now, but it will actually help you be able to deal with future situations a lot better. So get the help you need. Thank you.